Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Intian. So today we'll be here to talk about something I love very much, which is damsels in distress. Now, damsels in distress is a very nuanced topic. We have a lot of opinions on like, oh, we don't need men in shining armor, blah 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 blah. That's how it sounds to me, to be honest. I love them. I love damsel in distress stories. I love it so much. I don't even know who thought of the idea that it should not be a trope that should be considered great. I guess like a trope that should be normalized to be hated on. Basically, like what is wrong? We need a knight in shining armor, especially for my fictional girlies. I don't know. Okay, out here in real life, there is no knight in shining armor. So I would love for the girlies that I love to have one for themselves. Like, is that not the logic of escapism? I don't know. Somebody explain it to me. Enough of the theatrics. Let's share some of my favorite um damsels in distress. Now this is historical romances because I feel like that's where it applies the most. The first one I was telling you guys about, which I feel like is the most recent one I read, is The Belle of Belgrave Square by Mimi Matthews. The Belle of Belgrave Square by Mimi Matthews is book 2 in a disjointed historical romance about a group of girlies that have bonded and become friends because of their love for horses, right? And the main character in The Belle of Belgrave Square is Julia. So Julia's love interest in this book is Captain Jasper Blunt, who is notorious for his brutality and just, his is basically brutal, demeanor and actions on the battlefield. This is historical, so there obviously was a war at some point in time, and he was known as the captain that spared no mercy for his enemies and his subordinates. I like, right? And out here we have Julia. Julia is just a girl who loves her horses. She also is sickly, or is told that she is sickly a lot by her parents. Her living situation is very horrible. She actually really does need rescuing from that situation. Okay, and now Captain Jasper is in town. What does he want? He wants a wife because he has an estate that needs to be taken care of, and he has some illegitimate children that needs to be taken care of, and he needs money through the dowry of his wife. And that is so clear, that is so plain in the open. But obviously, this is just what the world knows about them. This is not actually who they are, right? But one thing that is right is that Julia is a damsel in distress through and through. Miss is in distress. So first of all, she has like social anxiety, what with the pressure of her parents on her, like just to accept that any slight thing she feels means she is sick, and so she has to have her blood let by the doctor. It's basically an abusive situation. She has social anxiety, and so she'd rather not go out. The only way she'd be allowed not to go to these balls to socialize and find a potential suitor is if she lies that she is ill. When she lies that she's ill, she's allowed to stay home. She's allowed to stay home, but at the cost that a doctor is invited. And this doctor's solution to all the illnesses caused by her reading is to let her blood. Okay, so they're like drawing liters and liters of blood from this girl on a daily basis. So like that just does not help in matters. We have her parents always saying things like, oh, if you were a son, we can't allow you to marry because we can't be sure if you are a son. You obviously, no matter how far you go, you obviously come and take care of us, but you're not a son, so if you marry a man that is not acceptable to us or whatever, and she has to marry, okay, there is no choice in this for her either way. Okay, and they're like, oh, you must marry the person of our choosing, and the person of their choosing is one old man who lives across the street because they want proximity, because they want someone to take care of their supposed illness. So like I said, it's a very a very abusive situation. She's living in plus her anxiety. And so this book, the first part of this book, the courtship part of this book, where they get to know each other, Captain Jasper and Julia, happens in 3 days. It's crazy. Her friends are out of town for so many reasons, and she just can't afford to have her bloodlet again. And so she can't take an excuse to stay home from functions, and she goes to these functions and runs into Jasper. Jasper, who ends up saying to her, there was a time something happened, and she was like, are you saving me right now? And he's like, no, I'm not. If I'm saving you, you will know that I am saving you. And I am, yes, that is peak damsel in distress, knight in shining armor behavior. Loved it. This book, chef's kiss. This book was so freaking cute. Captain Blunt was the best man ever. Okay, the second one we'll be talking about is Seeking Persephone by Sarah M. Eden. Persephone is like the first daughter of this family of girls. I think their dad has like passed on or something. Anyway, they are poor. They need money. This duke needs a wife. He is convinced that nobody is going to want to marry him. Did I mention Captain Blunt, I think, had a scar on his face? And now this duke guy also had a scar on his face. So he's convinced that, no person would want to marry him. And so he decides to kind of like do an auction or something like that. And basically, he offers money. You don't have to pay dowry. Okay, just come and marry me. Like, I have this reputation that is not great, but I need a wife because obviously at some point I will need a heir to continue this dukedom or whatever. And it's like, yeah, just come and marry me. I will pay dowry. I will set up your family and stuff. And so that is his act of being the knight in shining armor to a damsel in distress. Also, this had like the elements of the whole, Persephone. I find that the retellings of Persephone and what's his name? Who is the person that's Hades? Is it Hades? Who is the love interest of Persephone? Because I feel like their story is practically the most popular Greek mythology. Like, there are a lot of, stories based off of Persephone and the man whose name I cannot remember out of the blue. So like there was the whole element of that. So freaking cute. So freaking cute. Where her damsel in distress does not end up being a damsel in distress. Okay, she presents that very, 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 very soft soft temperament that is very firm, in the sense that they know what they want, they know how they want to be treated, but they present all that with the most grace and elegance. I feel like those are my best type of female fictional characters, not even the damsels in distress, the ones that, that despite the fact that they need your help, will not allow you to disrespect them. And the next one we have is Her Baseborn Bridegroom by Alice Coldbreath. Her Baseborn Bridegroom is about this girl. Her parents have died. I think she is supposed to be the heir of this estate or this duchy or this county. She's supposed to be the heir of something, basically, but it's being run by her uncle and aunt, because apparently she is so sickly that, if she goes into the sun, she will die. Like, the minute the rays of the sun drop on her, she will faint and die. Okay, that is the story her uncle and aunt have told her, convinced her of, and convinced the entire village of as well. Now somehow they have arranged a marriage for her to this guy, who is apparently a good for nothing. Okay, he's just gonna marry her, and they're just gonna like have more power, and she's just still gonna be locked in the isolated wing, right? Something happens. He doesn't show up for the wedding. Who shows up are his two brothers. One his blood brother, the other his half brother. And yeah, So she's in dire straits. She's in a very tough situation. She's like, don't know what's going on. Like, this will probably be my only marriage prospect in life because I'm so sickly and everybody thinks I'm a monster. And she's like, she doesn't know what to do. Oh, what are my estate people going to think? They are going to laugh at me more than they have been laughing at me, because now I have been abandoned at the altar. The man that is supposed to come and marry me did not come and marry me. But here is his half brother who is acting in all sorts of ways, and he's not a legitimate child. I can offer him my dowry and he can save me from this embarrassment that feels like the worst situation I have ever encountered in my life. Granted, might be the only situation I will ever encounter in my life if I continue to stay locked up in this room. And she strikes a deal with him. She's like, yeah, let's do this for about a year, yes, so that I can at least like get out. Like, yeah, even if I die, yeah, sure, let me die, I will still give you I will give you an heir. I will give you the duchy, the county. I don't know what it is she owns. I can't remember. And so he pulls her out of that distressing situation. Love this book. I mean, it's a bit on the spicy side, so be warned. But this book was so freaking cute because, like, I think all these three books present the same trope where they end up married. I mean, hello, arranged marriage enthusiasts. Number one arranged marriage enthusiast here. They marry, but then it's like they are developing these feelings for each other gradually, but there is this deal or other in place, and there is this reason why they actually got married in the first place. And so it just feels like, oh, there's a lot of push and pull with the things we are feeling, and so there's this angst. So it's like, oh. And then we have Marion Winterborn. Marion Winterborn, she's in distress emotionally. This is the only person that is in distress because of actual romantic feelings that are made clear from the beginning. And also, I just will not miss any opportunity to recommend Marion Winterborn to you guys. I just feel like, by Lisa Kleypas, I just feel like the main girl in Marion Winterborn, whose name I cannot remember, is literally my favorite female fictional character in books to ever exist. I have to make that distinction because they are dramas, but like in all the books I have read since I started reading books since I was a young girl, if you ask me my favorite character, she's the one, male or female, she's the one. Okay, I just like her and will find every opportunity to talk about her and recommend her story to you guys. But basically, Marion Winterborn is book 2 in the Ravenel series, if I'm not mistaken. And in book 1, which was not about her, there is a subplot of her getting engaged to Mr. Winterborn because the family needed his financial support, right? And then in that same book 1, the engagement is broken off. Book 2 starts off when she literally is in emotional distress because this engagement got broken without her knowledge because of a huge misunderstanding. Not to mention the fact that she's head over heels for this guy. She has not stopped thinking about him since. Like, she's in love. And so she goes to meet him to help her out of this emotional distress she is facing. And I just love it. I honestly just love this story. It's so freaking cute. She's so, like, the courage it requires. It's one thing I say about, like, loving soft characters. And when I say I love soft characters, the truth is that there is truly really nothing like soft characters, except you are just writing to the characters. Like, unless characters are poorly written, when people say things like, oh, soft characters, I wanted to watch a drama the other day and I saw a review that was like a good waste of a strong female lead, and I was like, yes, I'm picking this up. This is my indication to pick this up. Once I see people start complaining that things are too soft or so, because you look at this on the outside and it's like, why is she begging? Not that she actually begged, but like, why will she, risk her dignity to ask a man to take her back? But then you think about the courage it requires, especially the fact that all this was one big, huge misunderstanding. It requires for her to actually pursue what she wants. The last recommendation before this rain fully starts, and then it disrupts everything, is A Dance with the Dragon's Yoke by S.L. Prata. I also very recently read this in a recent vlog, right? And this is a fantasy romance about a girl that is half silly, half human. So it's this fantasy world of like a bunch of different fantasy creatures and then some humans as well. So there are sillies, right? Sillies are their own faction and their own sect, and apparently sillies are kind of like immortal. This girl, she is half silly, half human, and so she has like a lot of mortal elements to her, and so she's not really liked by her people, if that makes any sense. Her dad passes on and very surprisingly leaves the duchy to her, and then for her to actually like claim full inheritance of this, she has to like get engaged to a respectable man in society, like somebody with title, right? And her cousins and the men basically from her family are not all that happy about this development, so they poison her. She recovers and she wants to take revenge by taking full ownership of this duchy and like shoving it in their faces, and also repaying her grandmother, who basically was the only kind person to her in her entire life. And also her life is in danger because these people want to kill her before she can do any single thing about this duchy. Then when they kill her, it falls into their hands, right? And so she's on the run. She's staying in this particular motel, if you will, and the hosts are the most kindest women ever to her, that is, anyways. And they advise her to seek the advice of this dragon, Darko. He's a duke. He's a dragon duke, right? And she entreats his help to help her from this very distressing situation. So we have another damsel in distress, and I love this too. I love this too so much. I made a statement when I was reading this book that I feel like if a lot more fantasy romance was just about the romance between fantastical creatures and less about the trials and the politics and the inheritance and the assassinations, and just having like real actual fantastical creatures, like bring back the vampires, bring back the werewolves, bring back the sillies, bring back the dragon shifters, not the dragon riders. Like, why are we trying? It's fantasy. Enough of human main characters in fantasy books. Like, enough of that. Give us more otherworldly creatures and their romance. Okay, so yeah, really love this, and I just wanted to talk about my girlies. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.